for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best step-by-step premium model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the re-release of MPC's Bad Company van. It's a Dodge B van from the 79 through 80s period, and it's kit number MPC 824 in 1/25th scale. Now this kit has seen multiple releases, but this one returns it to the original version from the 82 release with all stock and custom parts. Round 2 rates it a skill level 2 for the intermediate builder, and you get 95 parts molded in white, chrome, clear, and clear red with vinyl tires and metal axles. The decals, however, are new reproductions, and they're very good quality. The instructions are laid out in easy-to-follow steps that show both stock and custom build options. The motor is pretty detailed, but there's not much purpose for excess detailing because they probably won't show in the built kit. The chassis is simplified with a separate frame but basic suspension. The interior has some custom parts, but to see them, you must cut out the roof vent and install the clear panel that's supplied in the kit. Now the body was straight and represents a long body van that can be stock or custom, but there are no custom windows or accessories pre-cut on the body. So overall, when you're done, the dimensions are about 7.5 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 3 inches high. Here are the decals for this kit. As you can see, they are very colorful and the registry is good. I suggest, however, using some of the setting solutions available on the aftermarket for these because they're pretty large and they can use some of that setting solution to soften them up and make sure that they conform to contours and stick to the body. Now, just so you know, we'll be using Model Master liquid cement for this build, except for where we need extra strength, where we'll call out some super glue or some clear parts that might need some white glue. But as always, be sure to follow the safety recommendations for any of the products that you see in this review. We'll start with the engine, so get these parts out of the kit, and then the detail is not as important because most of this motor is hidden. You only see the bottom of it because the hood doesn't open. So assemble the block that heads the intake, the oil pan, and the front cover, and then paint the motor blue with a steel transmission. The carb is a copper color, and the air cleaner is black, and the fan belt is flat black. The starter and distributors are black, and the exhaust manifolds are steel. The oil filter is an orange color. Add the oil filter and the starter to the motor, and the exhaust manifolds are next, so add the valve covers, distributor, carb, and air cleaner to the top of the motor. And on the fan belt, add the alternator and fan, and install that into place on the front. Now we have to start making choices. Choose either the stock or custom rims for the wheels. Paint the rim backs flat black with the outer rim area silver. I use the custom rims for my build, and for painting the rims, I use some All-Clad 2 Chrome. It's an airbrush chrome paint that's used over a high gloss black finish and lightly sprayed to create a chrome look. To give those tires a street used look, press and roll the tread on a sheet of fine sandpaper about 220 grit to rough up the tread's surface. The rear suspension comes in 2 halves, so put those 2 halves together and install it onto the chassis. Add the transmission crossmember, and then paint this whole unit flat black using a gel pen, and use some to make a silver highlight where the wires on the chassis, and paint the gas tank steel. Now slide the metal axles into place and then press the tires into position on those metal axles, and as the tires are non-directional, location is not important. Now choose between the custom or the stock exhaust. I used the custom exhaust and painted it steel. The drive shaft and the radiator are flat black color. Scrape off any of the paint or chrome in that fashion for gluing the parts to other parts, because glue doesn't do well where there's paint and chrome plating. So install the motor and the drive shaft and then add the radiator into place. And there's no hoses for the radiator, so you could make your own out of some solder, but it'll be doubtful to see it. So install the exhaust of your choice onto the motor. So turn this over and make sure that all the wheels touch the ground on a flat surface, and you'll have a rolling chassis on which to build the rest of your model. Gather these parts from the kit, and we're going to start the interior tub. So paint the interior outside flat black. The interior inside is painted the color of your choice. I used a dark red. So assemble the seats fronts and backs and add those to the base. Or, before you do that, you might want to consider adding some craft flocking like I did to make it appear as if there was carpeting. You just use a little white glue over the base color and then spread the flocking on there after sifting it to make sure it's nice and clear and clean, and tamp it down a little bit. Then you dump off the excess, and there you have it, a carpeted interior. Once that's dry, go ahead and install the seats and detail paint the door panels and the console using a little silver pen for the trim. Now get the parts out for the dashboard and the steering wheel and detail that and install it. Paint the dash and the steering wheel interior color. There were no decals for the interior, so I went online and found some interior decals images for this particular model. I printed them out with an inkjet printer and then sized them up and used those to provide some decals for the instrument panel and radio. After you put them into place, they look pretty good. So there are many companies that sell pre-made instrument panels, and you can find them also, but I just glued them into place after a flat black interior section there for the decal gauge clusters, and then I glued them into place using some white glue. The steering wheel and column are painted interior color, so add those to the dash at this time. There are some optional interior accessories for the van that give it a custom look, and they're shown installed here, but they can be optional, as well as the location inside the interior there. Now paint the seats and wall interior color, in this case a dark red, and the wall has wood spindles. Add the glass into the panel, and there is a table that would be a wood color or a laminate, so I painted mine wood using some dark and light browns to simulate a wood grain. The base is aluminum, and install the wall behind the front seats. Now the rear table and the seats are also installed, but there's no place in particular where they go. You just need to scratch some of that paint off there and glue them into position wherever you'd like. Now we can get out these body parts, and it's ready to prepare. The whole body then is sanded with a fine sandpaper, 600 to 800 grit, to remove any of the gloss and any of the blemishes and mold marks that are on the body. And then there's also a wing that is optional, and there's a lower bumper spoiler that you could also install for the custom version. As you're prepping the body, you'll notice, as the arrows indicate here, a few pronounced mold lines on both the front fender, along the hood, and down the back at each corner. So remove these in the best way that you can. I usually use a soft sanding stick, or sometimes scrape them off if they're really heavy, and then some fine sandpaper to smooth them out nicely. Now there are a number of cutouts in the roof of the body, so it will allow you to install a moon roof over the front of the van, and a moon gazer in the rear portion, or you can cut the roof section out completely for showing the custom interior. But note that you'll only get the whole roof glass panel. The moon roof and the gazing bubble are not included in this kit, as the body has seen multiple uses. So you'd have to make those windows from some clear plastic sheet or from parts from your stash. Once you've got the body all sanded, rinsed, and dried, then prime the whole van inside and out with a good quality primer. Now wet sand the body with an 800 grit paper and paint the base coat onto the van. And the interior will be painted the interior color, so you'll have to mask off the outside if it's different. Once the body has fully cured, we'll use the box illustrations for decal placement, and I strongly suggest that you use some of the decal setting solutions available on the aftermarket. I'd start with the largest ones first, and then just work your way around. And once you get them into place with plenty of warm water, I suggest that you smooth them out so that you get any of the trapped air bubbles out from underneath the surface. And then again apply some of the setting solutions to make sure that they stick to the body's contours. After they've dried overnight, you can give the body a coat of clear spray in order to lock them into place. Now we can install the window glass, and I like to actually dip these into what's called Pledge Floor Care product and then let that wick off and dry. It really makes the windows look clearer and crisper. Once that's dry, go ahead and install the windows using some white glue into the body of the van. Get the interior drapes out and ready to install, and I painted them a slightly lighter shade of red for some differences there, and installed them into place on the body. And I decided not to include the lantern lights for the rear interior, but those are optional. You can add those if you wish. On the front of the firewall, we'll add the brake booster and the heater core shown here, and we'll paint those flat black and install them into position on the firewall. It's time to install the interior tub into place by carefully inserting it into the body and then sliding it to the utmost rear section. No glue is really necessary. The chassis can then be inserted by sliding one side into the body and shoehorning it through on the other side by pulling it and separating the body sides out a little bit. It's a tight enough fit that no glue was needed. Get these parts out to assemble the front end, and now paint the grill insert area with a 50-50 wash of flat black and thinner. Then rub it across the rails and use a Q-tip to remove it from the higher areas to highlight those. The blinkers are then painted turn signal yellow, and the headlights are coated with some Elmer's glue to give them a lens look. Let that dry and insert the front lower panel into the grill. If you use the lower valance, install that, and if you use the fog lights, assemble and install those to the bumper. Then add the license tag of your choice. Now install this completed assembly onto the front of the van. Now get out these parts, and the rear bumper license tag of your choice can be installed, and the red lights then are installed, and the backup lights with the lenses painted white. Grab the mirrors and exhausts, and then install the side exhaust if you use that for the custom van, and install the mirrors too. With that, the build is complete, and depending on your assembly process and your choices, there's a few parts remaining with some decals, and here's what I had left over. Well, there you have it. You gotta admit, this looks like a lot of the custom vans that we used to see back in the day. Now, this is a simplified build of an 82 Dodge Ram van, but with the custom decals, it really looks pretty cool. The one thing you have to consider is that many of this is simplified, and there is a complete motor, although you can't see it because the hood doesn't open. Now, on the other hand, you have a full interior, but you can't see it without the opening being made and adding the clear glass for the entire roof. So keep those things in mind, but when you get done with this, it really looks great. We hope you like this step-by-step premium model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But as always, you can find us on Facebook and at our website, www.rightonreplicas.com. Thanks!